Hey, baby Cap, how you doing this morning, bud? How you doing this morning? You want some milky? There you go, bud. There you go. There you go. I'm gonna have to let go of the camera because I'll never be able to control you. But see there? Look at that. You're a hungry fella in the morning, right? You still got all this grass and some grain. We need to get you trained on eating grass instead of the bottle. Well, he's probably gonna make a bunch of noise and knock me all over the place. But today will mark 280 days since I've had Bell's palsy. And I don't have it as bad as some people do, and it has healed. I do have, movement. It's tight movement, restricted movement on the right side. The lower right side, above my eye, I still can't move, and it causes my right eye to close when I'm trying to read or do certain things. And so it's a little bit difficult. But 280 days struggling with. There you did it, bud. Struggling with Bell's palsy and life in general, apparently. Look, Wildcat, that's enough for now. You can find some other things, your milk mustache. Look at you, your little tongue trying to get at me. You're fine, buddy. You're fine. I mean, everything seems peaceful and calm when you're out here in the morning doing your chores, or it could be the evening doing your chores. We've had some really nice evenings. It's a beautiful morning right now. Everything seems peaceful and calm, but here we are halfway through the second week of July, and there's just a lot to do. There's just a lot of things. I just can't seem to get caught up on all the work that I have to do. We got grandbabies, chasing grandbabies around. We've got weed eating that needs to be done, shelters that need to be built. There's just so much to do. And it just sometimes becomes so overwhelming. And maybe for me, I think probably you've seen me talk about over the years that it induces some guilt. A baby cat behind me. It induces some guilt in not getting things done, because I think I'm supposed to get everything done in one day. How do we approach that? How do we reconcile ourselves to that one day at a time? I feel like I'm way too tired to not be working at all, so I don't think it's because I'm lazy. Am I slow? I don't know. That's one of the things that we struggle with. What keeps you busy? What keeps you busy in a day? What do you feel like you're not accomplishing, or what's that pressure to continue on and do something more? Well, this is fun. My little turks, I lock them up at night for their safety, and as they get bigger, that's going to get a little more complicated. But we have the poly net around, gives them a little area to run in. I'll turn them loose. You can see that. I lock them up at night, especially while they're still young. And this has been nice. I don't trust them. I wouldn't trust them way out back. I mean, I'm having enough trouble with the chickens, so I don't know if I'd trust the turkeys way out back without some further protection or not. But if I got to raise one batch of turkeys a year here in the backyard or ish, the farm, the barn lot, whatever, this will work out. There you go. There you go, buds. Well, turkeys aren't overly intelligent, because look at them. The chickens would find their way out of there quicker. Turkeys are just a little bit lacking. At least these domesticated turkeys are a little bit lacking in their intelligence anyway. Now, I know some people use these Bell waters, and I mean, it works sometimes for me. I just don't have a big, high level of confidence in them. It seems like This is full because of rainwater. The rainwater came from out of the top here, came out of there, but the bucket is empty. It needs cleaned out. I haven't been using it, but I just can't seem. I've cleaned the filters out. I just can't seem to figure out how to be consistent with the watering. So I made this barrel. Now I do have a float valve on it, which I won't need it when I'm raising them here, but when they were out back, I tried to use that. And I got a cup there and a couple nipples, and this allows me to just water them and keep an eye on it. Now, they will try to roost on this, so I'm going to have to build something to go over top of that, but this works a lot better for me, and if I needed to put the automatic water on it, I could. I'm going to take that float valve, I think, and use it for another cow water. Hey, you can't park there. You can't. I mean, that's what happens with these little guys and these little feeders. When they start getting big enough to jump up on stuff, they start getting themselves in trouble. Now, these guys need to be out of here. I just put fresh sawdust down yesterday, and they are overwhelming this. So I need to get them outside. I hear those blasted crows out there. Those crows have decimated me outside. I'll show you what we got going on there. Our scripture for today is Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. And I'm using the Legacy Standard Bible. I normally use the ESV, but I like the way these other versions say it. And really, probably, the NIV rings most in our heads when we hear this, especially Hebrews 12:2. But the Legacy Standard is what I have in front of me today. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, laying aside every weight and the sin which so easily entangles us, let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Let us lay aside every weight and run with endurance. Now, from a biblical perspective, that's talking, because this book is to the Hebrews, it's talking about the Levitical system, the system of law that they had. From our perspective, it's not creating unnecessary laws. The guilt of not getting all of these things done and creating a system in which I gotta satisfy somebody or something, even if it's just me internally, setting every weight aside, not encumbering myself with more rules, letting also, it doesn't, my commentary doesn't talk about the sin, but laying aside every weight and every sin. The two different things. The weight is the law that we create for ourselves, this self-righteousness, and the sin is the obvious things that we shouldn't be doing. So the temptations and the troubles, and fixing our eyes on Jesus. So an athlete doesn't wear any, a runner in a race doesn't wear any unnecessary clothing, any unnecessary gear, strips away everything to be as light as possible. And that's what our pursuit of Christ should be like. It should be unencumbered. Our life should be unencumbered. I have chores to do. We all have work to do, but why do I need to create a more another legalistic system that I have to get all of these things done and run ragged with all of this extra weight? I need to shed all the extra weight and just run with endurance, continuing steadfastly. The Greek word hupomene means steadfast endurance. Run with a steadfast endurance, shedding the extra weight and running towards my goal, Christ. Fixing my eyes on Jesus. That gives me a clear target. So it doesn't matter how tall the grass gets. It doesn't matter how much success I have in raising chickens. Fixing my eyes on Jesus, back to the Galatians 6:9, and doing good, pursuing good in my life and in this world. Endurance. Steadfast endurance. You got to have some wisdom involved in that. And maybe we don't have wisdom just yet, but we have gone away. I mean, these are old shelters. We use these chicken tractors. Now they just look like shambles. And I'm hoping I can get to build some new ones today for the next batch. But Melissa was able to get these shade fabrics because we like to raise the chickens in these electronets. It just seems like they're a lot happier and it's a lot more enjoyable for us to do them this way, and we move them, you know, as necessary. We kind of watch the ground. Is it 3-4 days? Who knows? 5 days. But we didn't lose any like this last year. I mean, we lost birds, but we didn't lose any to predators. But crows and ravens and turkey vultures have just run rampant on this batch. The first batch, we had the trouble with the weather, so I know now that I have to have a more substantial shelter early on in the season. I've just been blessed to have good seasons up till this year, and this year we had a lot of rain and a lot of cold, so more substantial shelters in the beginning, more protection from the aerial predators. I focused on hawks. I knew ravens and crows. Didn't think so much about the turkey vultures. But now that I know, I mean, we had these up for their comfort as far as the temperature, but they really like to lay under them. Now it rained, so they're up under their shelters now, but it does protect them from the crows and things. It's done a little better, but we need a goose or one of those, what do you call those guys that wave? The balloon man, the car salesman man. How come I can't think of that? What is that? Tube man. Yeah, like Justin Rhodes uses. So whether we had a tube man flying out here, we'd probably get some geese and raise them with the birds next year to help keep these crows and ravens and everything else away. But it's real easy to want to give up. You start losing cows and fighting battles with chickens that you've never had, and that steadfast endurance, that hupomene, is hard to find on days like that. And sometimes you just do some bonehead stuff. I was out here feeding baby Cap and letting these chickens out of the night shelter, and I forgot to shut the door. So now I got chickens running out around, which isn't, I don't have that many because of, again, predators. Had them in what I thought was a secure place, and a fox thought differently. I wonder if I can get him to just go back through the door. That rooster's going wild crazy. I wonder how many of them are out running around trying to cause me trouble. What are we, 3 times zoomed in? We need 1 zoom. There we go. Go through the door, little chicken. There he goes. Maybe he figured it out. All right. Okay. She gonna go into? All right. All right. There we go. Now, there's them. We had a broody one in here. Yep. She's still sitting. And Captain Dan, she usually sits over there. Captain Dan's lost half her feet and she only likes to use one of them, so she got a free ride. So, got myself in a little trouble there by not shutting my door. You can see a few birds lounging. We don't have an incredibly hot day. There's a few birds right there taking a little shelter, but the sun isn't so powerful today, and really it needs to be moved. These guys are going to the butcher here in a few days, so I'll probably just make some adaptions and build 2 new shelters and get the other batch that's inside out of there. Hopefully today. That'll be really ideal. Now see, I'm a bird guy, And I'm pretty happy about the diversity that we've established on these 8 acres here, with letting the grass grow, with the cows being on the other side, and chickens and all that. But that crow is not making me happy. Not making me happy at all. Just sitting there waiting for me to turn my back so he can sneak in there and get one of those chickens. Sorry about that. I'm zoomed in pretty far, but I don't know where his buddies went, or her buddies as the case may be, but whatever. Not very pleased with you, crow. Maybe that's a good analogy. Hupamine, steadfast endurance. Like those crows, they have a steadfast endurance waiting for me to turn my back so they can kill a chicken. The charger's off, my lead wire. I need to get an insulated lead wire to go through the barn, but I'm leaning against it right now. My personal little raspberry bushes right there. We used to grow raspberries and strawberries in here, and these raspberries have persisted, so it's a nice little snack for me and the grandkids, me and Millie specifically. When we come out here to the barn, they're kind of past a little bit. There may be a few ripe ones on there, but we've kind of eaten them all up. Steadfastness on the farm is persevering through these troubles, maintaining the grazing routine, not giving up on that, not losing sight of what the goal is there, is to recover pastures and to build soil and to build nutrients and organic matter in the soils, moving the chickens around, providing fertilizer, heavy nitrogen content into the fertilizer, into the ground, and to put food in our freezers and to offer some up for sale to those around. But when the trouble comes, just to continue in steadfast endurance, letting go of the weight, letting go of the trouble that comes with it, and correcting our gait. A runner learns how to run. We might have some idea that we just get out there and run, and some of that's true. I mean, there's a natural thing, but we get into a rhythm. We learn how to run. I'm not a runner. I can move chickens and I can move cows, but I think my running days are behind me. So maybe that type of running with that in the past. But we learn what works. We don't like to use the chicken tractors. We lost birds that way because they were just overcrowded, and we just didn't enjoy the work of moving the shelters. And we enjoy this way. We'll continue to modify it until it works with a steadfast endurance. The cows, pretty good system going, but if something goes wrong, we got to learn from it. We got to modify our gait, modify the way we run, and change the system up with a steadfast endurance. Steadfast endurance on the farm, steadfast endurance in life. The pigs are demanding that I feed them first before I do any talking, so they're gonna make too much noise for me to try to record anything till they're taken care of. I think when I was a kid, my mom probably was concerned about me watching too much TV. Kids sitting inside watching TV instead of going outside and playing. And you think about all the distractions that we have today, distractions that might take our eyes off of Jesus, the ultimate goal, and take our eyes off of the race, take our eyes off of the work that we need to be doing. I mean, I've pretty much taken all social media off of my phone. Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter. We don't do TikTok, but pretty much taking all those off of my phone and my tablet. Still have access on my computer. So still though, if I find myself sitting down at the computer for a minute to do something else, or if I am in the house for a quick second, sit down at the computer and boom, click on that for a minute and get distracted. I mean, it's fine in its own measure, but when you get consumed with it continually over and over, I'm thinking I've been cutting myself back off of those things more and more over the last year or so, and I think it'll be interesting to see if it's not accessed on my phone, and if I continue to limit the access on my phone, how much more productive, or how less my distractions might be, because it's a distraction in 2025. Social media is a distraction. Our phones are a distraction. I can't get my kids to hear me on this, and they'll have to find it on their own. But it's constantly making noise in the background, and it's fine. It's fine in its measure, but they're always listening to something. I like to listen to audiobooks. I like to listen to music. I like to watch videos. I like all that stuff. But we're surrounded by noise. We never just really hear what's going on around us. Birds, insects, the wind. There's just too much noise, too much distraction that takes us out of the race, that takes away our steadfast endurance. Steadfast endurance, pursuing that end goal, looking to Christ as the ultimate goal. And I want to accomplish things around here. I'm looking around at garbage that needs to be cleaned up and things like that. If I get distracted, I'm never going to get those things done. If I just chip at them a little bit every day, then maybe I've got a chance to get something. I've got lists that aren't getting anywhere because I'm probably distracted somewhere else. What causes you to lose focus? Does fixing your eyes on Jesus, does fixing your gaze upon him change your perspective? It changes mine. And if I could just be more steadily reminded of that, to keep my eyes on him and focus on him, then I would have a much nicer time, a much smoother time than trying to satisfy the rules I've made up for myself, or the rules that the world's made up for me, or just simply to be disappointed in the world around me. If I just focus on him, I'll know where true satisfaction lies. I might be of the mind to start hating crows. They are just relentless, and they're everywhere. Just sitting there perching, waiting for my little chickens to come out so they can grab themselves a nice fat meal. I keep clapping and shouting and chasing them away. They have a steadfast endurance. Well, this ground's had about a month's rest. It was hit pretty hard. So it's had about a month's, well, maybe about 3 weeks rest. And it was hit pretty hard. You can see up there that I need a brush hog or some goats or a weed eater, because there's still a lot of flea bane and some briars and things up there. But I just don't have access to the equipment that I need, or some goats. So we'll just keep hitting it as much as we can. Maybe I can hire someone in here to brush hog some of it. And the cows will be coming into this, and this ground's had about 2 months rest. So not a perfect pasture by any stretch, but not seeding it, not trying to do anything other than just keep grazing it, and grazing it pretty heavy. But you can see some milkweed and flea bane and different things. There's a pretty good stand of junk right here that'll hopefully I'll get cut down. I'll turn the cows into that so they can knock that down. But you can see this alleyway that I've created to let the cows get back to the water, because I didn't hook my pump up to pump it way back there. So that's unfortunate, but you can see a pretty good line there of where the cows have been continuously versus where they are getting getting some rest. So hopefully this will get a good 60 days rest or so before they come back to it. We haven't even touched the other side, our farm. We haven't touched our property at all since, we're pushing 90 days over there. Luckily it's a nice cool day. I don't know what the temperature is, but it must be 80 or less. It's not very high in the 80s if it's in the 80s, but it's a beautiful day. I did forget my bandana, so I'm getting a little bit of sweat, but not too terrible. It's really just a beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful day. And even though this is less than desirable pasture, I mean, there are weeds and briar thickets and all kinds of things through here, and we'll just continue to steadily claim it as long as we have access to it. But I'm not sure how this will show up on the camera from one side of the fence to the other, but it doesn't take long for that grass to start recovering, especially this year when we've had sufficient rain to help it out. It's just it's really neat to watch this. Miss B, I don't know if you're trying to wean them calves off of you or what. They look like they're getting on you pretty ragged, but you've been hanging out by yourself a good bit, so it looks like they about sucked you dry. Now you can see that briar thicket way up there, just a big old briar thicket, and I've tried to push the cows through it, and they have cut some paths through it, but they don't like to go in there. And I'm zoomed in a good bit. Let's zoom back out here. There we go. Sorry about that herky-jerky. So anyway, sorry about that herky-jerky. You can see one side of the fence. Now they were in this for 2 days because it gave them a pretty big section, and I wanted to try to push them through those greenbriers a little bit. But and the way this land lays, and with all these thickets, you can see another thicket up there right in front of us there. There's another briar thicket there, and there's another one over here. There's just all these patches of briar thickets. It's gonna, I mean, I could divide it off, but the way I got things laid out here, I'm gonna turn them into this patch of ground here. In fact, I'm actually not gonna build the back fence. Since that fence is already established there, I'm just gonna let them have that where they've been. They're not gonna come back here for anything else, and give them access to this for however many days it takes them to clip it off pretty aggressively, get the flea bane and everything else taken control of. So I think I'm going to take this fence up, let them have all that for a few days while I build the next fence. Be a girl, should I be concerned about you, or are you just being a little bit standoffish? You're not with the rest of your crew. You're in a little bit of a shade tree here, and maybe you just don't want those calves to be around you, and this is the best place to hide from them. I can understand that, but making me just a touch nervous when you're all by yourself. Jesus leads us through this race of life, all these distractions and all these problems. If we keep our eyes focused on Him, and we don't get so caught up in overconsumption of social media, overconsumption of the party culture, getting drunk or getting high. I never did understand that, but if we keep our eyes focused on Him, we find our way so much smoother through this life, and we're able to accomplish these tasks that we have, moving cows, planting gardens. I mean, we're going to try to plant a few things still yet. We're right at about 90 days to our expected frost date. So we may have to do some things to protect it at the end, but when we had the time, it was wet, and then when we didn't have the time, we didn't have the time. So what I mean is when it wasn't raining, we didn't have the time. So we're going to try to put a few things together to see if we can get some tomatoes or something out of a garden. But whatever it is, pushing through with endurance, steadfast endurance, keeping our eyes on Jesus, focusing on Him, and not focusing on our life, our life's aspiration, our what we want to accomplish in life, but day by day, steadfast endurance, one foot in front of the other, focusing on Him. That'll help us get through. Look, it's just a beautiful day. Most of the cows look pretty awesome. Bia looks pretty awesome too, but I don't know why she's down there by herself like that. But I'm going to turn them in and see how they enjoy some new opportunity. Well, as it turns out, I guess my little mic wasn't working all morning. I guess I was recording audio. It's interesting, I was recording audio through the phone. Normally, if you have something plugged in, it won't record that way at all. So hopefully all the sound comes out. I told you goodbye on my way up through the field, but at any rate, it's a beautiful day. Whatever day you watch this, I hope it's a beautiful day for you. Y'all have a great day. I love y'all.